What's up, Facebook? Ty Crandall here with Credit Suite, and today we're jumping in to what you see is a bunch of backwards wording here, which is how to get $20,000 business credit card with Apple and with Dell without a personal guarantee and without a personal credit check. Now, admittingly, in this isn't just about Apple and Dell. What we're actually going to be going over today, it can be used for almost any retail store card. So whether you're looking for Sam's Club or Costco or BP or Chevron or Walmart or Amazon, these will really work for any kind of high limit commercial revolving account. But we're specifically going to, what's up, Jerome? Welcome. Thanks for coming in. We're specifically going to look at Dell and Apple because Dell and Apple will be just two of the cards you can come in. You can get $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 plus limits with these guys. And if you're following exactly the same strategy, you're also going to be able to get credit at most major retailers that you're going to want to get credit with as well. So even though the title of this is how to get $20,000 limit cards with Dell and Apple without the personal guarantee and personal credit check, I want to clarify that what we're going to go over today can actually work to put you on the path to get $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, even $75,000 and higher limits on almost all major retail cards that you may get, whether it is Amazon, Walmart, Costco, Sam's Club, BP, Chevron, Sunoco, and on and on and on. So I appreciate you, everybody coming in. Kayada, welcome. Thanks for coming in. Christine, welcome. Send an email with an update. Appreciate it. Christine's one of the people that's following this the same strategy and having a lot of good results. So let's dive in. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about how to get a $20,000 limit credit card with both Dell and Apple. And we're going to walk through the actual requirements to be able to get both of these done. So before we talk about it, let's first get to the basics. What are we talking about with business credit? Well, when we talk about business credit, remember, we're talking about credit that's tied to a business itself. The business is EIN. This is not the owner. It's based on your EIN credit. So this is important. What we're basically talking about here is credit that you can get without a personal guarantee and without a personal credit check. Now, when I say without a personal credit check, it sounds scammy because anytime you talk about being able to get credit when personal credit doesn't matter, you automatically should be suspicious. I would be suspicious of you if you weren't suspicious of when you're hearing the words with no credit check, what that actually means. But the reason that business credit works the way that it works is because we're talking about credit that's linked to the business EIN number. It's based on the business's ability to pay, not the owner's, which is why the owner's consumer credit doesn't have to come into play. So the other thing when we talk about business credit is we're talking about how you can use this to qualify for revolving store credit cards and many other kind of credit as well. So these are real approval from people from like Christine on here that follow us on Periscope and Facebook Live. You can see what we're talking about. So the key to this is, again, here's real approvals we've actually helped clients get with Apple. $7,500, $10,000, $12,500. But it's not just Apple. You see Office Depot, we see Chevron and Amazon and Tractor Supply and BP and Exxon, Sunoco. We see Sears, we see Best Buy, we see Bank of America. Somebody just got a Chase credit card, a Chase Inc. without a personal guarantee and without a personal credit check. So when we talk about this, we're talking about how you can basically use business credit to qualify for most revolving store credit. I call it store credit, but it's really retailer credit because it's credit at most retailers. I wouldn't consider a gas station, for example, necessarily a store. You're also able to qualify for credit lines, loans, leasing, real estate purchases, etc. Most of use consumer credit for is exactly what you're also going to use commercial credit for. It really is. You're getting a credit profile that you can use to get credit cards. You're using a credit profile that you can actually use to get auto vehicle financing, fleet credit cards to get fuel and gas, and Visa cards and MasterCards, all without a personal guarantee and without a personal credit check. But what else happens here is by building your business credit, you're also able to come in and start qualifying and make it easier to get loans, make it easier to get credit lines. Remember, business credit, just like commercial or consumer credit, they're pulling your commercial credit profiles when you go to get loans. And these determine whether you'll get a loan, the rates and terms you'll pay, etc., etc. So commercial credit is just as important for you being able to get loans as what consumer credit is. Here, I'll show you an example. So this is a real commercial credit report right here that we've had the permission to pull and show here, but even if we didn't, it doesn't matter because it's public information. You can see here that the credit score, the recommended amount of credit. We can see the number of trade lines. These are all factors that credit issuers and lenders look at to determine if they should approve you or not. And when they see score of 28, which is a failing score versus a score of 96, well, then this person has a much better chance of getting a loan. When they see a credit recommendation of 2,500 versus 1,000, well, then this person obviously has a much better chance of getting higher loan amounts. When they see one trade line, even one trade line here, versus somebody that has no trade lines, well, then again, somebody instantly, and Kevin, thank you, instantly becomes more lendable. So business credit, yes, it is the basis. It helps you get high limit store credit, fleet credit, Visa cards, MasterCards without the guarantee and credit check. But it also makes it easier for you to get loans and credit lines, which is why it's absolutely so important. Okay, you also can be built fast. It's very, very quick to build it. Talk to you about today is a way that you can go through these steps, and in less than 60 days, even 30 days, you'll start to see accounts report on your commercial credit reports. Once you start to see these accounts report on your commercial credit reports, then what happens is you have a report established, you have a score established, and more credit opens up for you. Now, you already know this because you've already built your consumer credit. You've seen the same thing. When you first got your consumer credit, you couldn't qualify for a lot of stuff. You couldn't go get a mortgage. You couldn't go get an auto loan. You couldn't qualify for any other auto loans. You could probably, best case, qualify for high rate, low limit credit cards. And more than likely, you probably were able to qualify for secured credit cards. But as you continue to get the credit, you use the credit, you paid the bill on time, then what happens is it makes it easier and easier for you to then come in and get qualified for more and more credit. And eventually, you're able to get these other things. You're able to get loans. You're able to get mortgages because the credit being established helps it happen. But with business credit, it's faster because credit only takes about 30 days to get credit and get it reported. With FICO in the consumer world, it takes 6 months of you to pay before they'll even establish a FICO score for you. In the commercial world, 1 month, a lot of them start to report your credit. And in doing so, that gives you the report. It gives you the score to start getting the Dell, the Apple, the kind of credit card that we're talking about today. So a ton of benefits here. First of all, you need to understand that commercial credit card limits are much higher than personal. SBA recommends and says it's about 10 to 100 times higher. And when we look at these approvals, it makes sense, right? A lot of you may not have $40,000 credit card limits. You might not have $20,000 limits at places like Costco. You might not have $40,000 limits at places like Best Buy. But you can see 25, 40. We even have Christine, who's on with us today, even has a $75,000 limit approval. You can see here that, again, the limits are much higher, and it makes sense because you're never going to need to spend 20 grand at Dell on home computers. But you will need to spend 20 grand at Dell to put computers in an office. You have a greater appetite or capacity for credit as a business, which is why the limits are so much higher. And like Anna says, how do I get business credit rating? I'm going to show you that. That's part of the process. If you follow the steps today, then you're going to establish that positive business rating. So you can have personal and business credit at the same store. Staples will give you a personal credit card today. But if you go to Staples and apply for another credit card tomorrow, they'll deny you because you already have one. But you can go to Staples and get a personal credit card today and also qualify based on your EIN and get a business credit card. So it gives you double the borrowing ability because you can get credit on almost every major retailer on the personal side and the business side as well. Now, one of the best benefits of business credit is that you don't need collateral, cash flow, or financials, or good credit to get approved. Here's why this is a really big deal. Every loan that exists, every loan, every credit line, you have to have one of three things. You either have to have collateral, good credit, or cash flow to get approved. You have to. If you don't have one of those three, there are no business loans and no business credit lines that will work for you, period. Business credit's the only way you can get money for a business if you don't have good credit, cash flow, or collateral. Now, don't get me wrong. If you have good credit, cash flow, or collateral, and you can get a loan, business credit helps you get better terms on the loan and helps you get approved for more money. But even if you can't get a loan, even if your credit's trashed, even if you have no collateral to offset the lender risk, you're just starting the business, or you can't even verify cash flow based on tax returns or bank statements, you can still get business credit. It's what I call a catch-all. Everybody can get it. Anybody that owns a business can get it, unlike loans and credit lines where you have to have cash flow, credit, or collateral for approval. Even if you have none of those, you can still qualify for business credit, which is why it's such a big deal. And like Anna says, personal credit is horrible to a heart attack. I'm sorry about the heart attack, but a lot of things happen that create credit issues. Remember, business credit can be built regardless of personal credit quality. So you won't need a personal guarantee. There's no personal liability for this credit, which means if you ever default, your business can get sued, not you. So it keeps your your personal financials, your assets basically secure. So with business credit, lenders review business credit when deciding to make a loan. I've already shown this. Okay, a lot of people, even in the lending space, don't understand the value of business credit because lenders aren't telling them or their customers that loans are being pulled, or business credit is being pulled to issue loans. This is what commercial credit reports for. Think of it like this, and I'll give you an example. Do you really think that a bank is going to issue you a business loan or issue you a business credit card without knowing how your business pays its bills? Of course not. Why would they? If this information is readily available to them, your score, your payment history, your trends, why would they not this information to make a lending decision? Of course they are. Almost all lenders out in the conventional space and a lot of alternative lenders look at business credit. They just don't tell you they are because there's no Fair Credit Reporting Act that requires that they are. So your commercial credit reports are looked at every time you want a business credit card. A lot of times you want a business loan, a credit line. You can't even get an SBA loan without having established business credit. It's impossible because SBA looks at what's called an SBSS score offered by FICO. And FICO SBSS, you have to have a 140 score to get an SBA loan. You can't even have a 140 score unless you have established business credit. So it's absolute necessity with conventional banks, and a lot of alternative lenders are using it to make lending decisions as well. Okay, you also need to know anybody can pull your business credit report. With as little as just your business name and address, anybody who wants to can pull it. As a matter of fact, if you go to the reporting agencies, they'll even give you the option on the website. You want a credit report? Who do you want it? Do you want it for your business? Do you want it for somebody else's? Anybody can get credit reports without your permission. So do you want somebody looking at your business credit report and seeing that you're a failing business, your competitors, your prospects, your clients? And here's a perfect example of this on a real credit report. A lot of people think that just because they don't build business credit, they're okay. This is a failing score, 28. You can see right here. Here's a risk scale. Low risk, high risk. It's about as high of a risk as you can get. But here's what's interesting. There's no credit on this report. None. This is the bottom. There's nothing here. There's absolutely zero trade lines across the credit report. So what this reflects is that even if you think you don't need business credit, once the reporting agencies like Experian pick you up and know you exist, then they give you a failing credit score, and then that prevents you from getting loans, credit lines, and credit cards. I know because that's where people come from. They come to us. They go to their bank, they're denied, then they come in and say, hey, I got denied because they say my business credit's bad. I didn't even know I had business credit. We pull the report, they don't have any, but they're giving a failing score because they've never established credit. Now, Christine says, I talked to my bank, they wanted everything under the sun for a loan, and it would take 3 months to make a decision. Would rather ties way the bank. And Christine has got a lot of money. I just interviewed with her the other day. So far, she's got over $250,000 just in business credit without a personal guarantee, without a personal credit check. She's made it all the way through, so she knows what she's talking about. She's got vendor credit. She's got store credit. She's got fleet credit. She's got auto vehicle financing, and she's also got cash credit, Visa cards or MasterCards, without even being able to qualify for actual bank financing, as a lot of you can the same. Okay, so when we talk about business credit, it increases the value of your business. You'd rather buy a business that has access to credit than one that doesn't, and there's no effect to your personal credit. It doesn't report on your personal credit report. Here's why that matters. Here's how your consumer FICO score works. 30% of your score is utilization. So if you get a business credit account that reports on your personal credit report, as you use that account, as you utilize it, you damage what accounts for almost a third of your total FICO. And as you're applying for new credit, you're adversely affecting your inquiries. So just by using your personal credit to qualify for financing or credit cards that you're going to use to fund your business, you adversely affect 10% of your score that deals with new credit, 30% that deals with utilization. In the end, adversely affecting 40% of your credit score, which is why you don't want to do it. Guys, look, consumer credit was never designed to fund a business. It's why the limits are so much higher than business credit accounts. Business credit accounts have higher limits because they're designed to fund a business. If you're trying to use your consumer credit cards to fund your business, you're killing yourself. Because what you're going to do is drop your FICO, which makes it harder for you to get consumer credit cards, the loans you need on the personal side. And it also makes it harder for you to get loans and credit lines that could be available for the business if you leave your consumer credit alone. So build your business credit so you can obtain a bunch of capital using that alone that frees up your consumer credit for you to get what you need on the consumer credit side, and also for you to be able to come in and get more financing on the business side. So a lot of benefits we've talked about here. Now let's talk about where the rubber meets the road, the steps here. So the very first thing you want to do is you need to set up a business credibly. And what you need to know, look, all credit issuers and lenders have a secret set of standards you must meet. You meet it, you get approved, typically automatically by their computers. You don't meet it, you get denied, or you are told that you'll hear by mail in 7 to 10 days. That means they push it for manual review. It usually ends up in a denial. You and I's goal today is to get you automated approvals. How do we do that? We understand what these computers are looking for, and we make sure you meet the requirements before you apply. That way you know you'll get approved because you already meet their requirements. So you've got to make sure that you set up the business credibly. You've got to choose the right business entity. Go with a corporation or an LLC. You can build business credit under any entity, but if you really want to separate your liability where you don't have a personal guarantee, then you need to go with a corporation or an LLC, because if you do that, then you are not the business. You and the business are separate. You separated your entity, then you can separate this credit and the guarantee as well. Okay, you need to have an EIN number. Business credit is built under your EIN number. It's not built under your DUNS number. You should get a DUNS number, as we'll talk about. But business credit isn't built under your DUNS. It's built under your EIN. This is why you have to get an EIN to even build business credit, because that's the first step that even these starter vendors we're going to talk about have for you to be able to get approved. Okay, you need to make sure everything on the application reflects you're credible. Get a toll-free number. Never use a home phone or a cell phone on a business credit application. Get a fax number. Nowadays, you can go to Ring Central and get both of these all in one. Okay, list it with 411. You need to make sure your phone number is listed with 411. There's a service called List Yourself that does this. Some of these starter vendors we're going to talk about in a minute only look at two things. Do you have an EIN? Are you listed with 411? These are very important, because if you're listed with 411 and you have an EIN, those are the basic requirements to start getting some of these starter vendors. Make sure you have a professional looking website and a professional email address as well. Don't use Yahoo. Don't use Google addresses. Get a website and get an EIN number. Now, maybe you don't have that done. It's cheap to do. Go to a place like templatemonster.com that has all kinds of website templates for $30 to $75. Go to upwork.com or fiverr.com. Pay somebody very little money to put up the website for you. All you need is a Word document with the content you want on each page. You give them the template, you give them the Word doc, and probably for $150 to $200 you can get your website set up. Go to GoDaddy. It's $12 to get a domain and an email address that's a professional email address that goes with it. What do I mean by professional email address? My email address is info@creditsuite.com. That's info@ourdomain.com. That's a professional email address. We wouldn't want info@yahoo.com, for example. So stay away from any of those that are not professional domains. Christine says GoDaddy was $179 for a year for email as well, and you probably got hosting with that as well, which is a really good deal. Well, maybe not. Hosting isn't too expensive either. Okay, so make sure that you have a real physical business address, or make sure that you have a virtual address, either one. Here's the options. A lot of people mess this up with addresses. So let me tell you what you need to know. One, use a real physical business address if you have one. If you don't, look into a virtual address. You can go to creditsuite.com/virtual to find our source. And I can tell you we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people sign up for virtual addresses. So we know the best source out there. creditsuite.com/virtual. Last resort, use a home address. Do not ever use a P.O. box. Do not ever use a UPS address on these applications. It automatically will get you denied, and here's why. Because lenders and credit issuers have a database of all P.O. boxes and UPS addresses that they cross-reference. If they find that on your application you're using a UPS address, even though UPS tried to convince you that it's a real physical address and you're good, you're automatically going to get denied. If you use a home address, you absolutely will get denied with some sources, like Walmart. Walmart won't approve you if you're using a home address on your application, but other credit issuers will. So a home address is better than a virtual address, or home address is better than a P.O. box or UPS address. A virtual address is better than a home address. With a real physical address or a virtual address, everyone's going to approve you. No one's going to deny you just because of an address. But if you use a home address, some sources, like Walmart, will deny you, while other sources, like Costco, will approve you. So if you want to get approved for the most amount of credit, use a virtual, use a physical. If you use UPS address or P.O. box, you're screwed. You're going to get denied all over the place because of that. I'll give you one more tip. Make sure your address and all this information is congruent. Is the address you're putting on the application the same as the Secretary of State? I'll tell you, that's one of the number one reasons. Believe it or not, it's insane to me. It's one of the number one reasons that bank loans get denied. Because the address on the application is different than what's in the Secretary of State records. It's such a minor oversight, but has such serious repercussions because it gets you denied. How do you prevent it? Make sure all of your information online is congruent. Yelp, Bing, Google, Secretary of State, bank statements that you have. Everything needs to have the same name, the same address, the same information needs to be congruent. If you've been in business a long time, you changed addresses, you know it's all messed up, well then go ahead and go to a service like Yext, Y-E-X-T, pay a service like Yext to make sure that all your listings are congruent. Okay, we did that. We changed addresses. We're like, we are in trouble because our address, our old address was everywhere online. So we just paid Yext. Now all of our address and information is congruent and it's accurate online. Don't pay for it if you're newer in business. Just do it right from the beginning. But if you've been in business a while, then that might be something you want to consider. And Christine says, and well, I pay $25 a month for my other business, and she's talking about the actual website. So make sure that again, you actually get a physical address or a virtual address, and also make sure that you stay away from UPS addresses and P.O. boxes. Get the EIN, get a phone, get a fax, list them with 411, your phone. Get the website, get a professional email address, okay, get a physical or virtual address. The perception that lenders have is invaluable, so make sure what they see on that application reflects that you're credible. Step 2, get set up with the reporting agencies. You can get a free DUNS number from Dun & Bradstreet, but Dun & Bradstreet will then call you and email you, and they'll try to upsell you a package for anywhere between $800 and $1,500. They're all over on their pricing, and I'll show you what an email like that looks like from them. So what will happen is you'll go in, you can Google free DUNS number, okay, and you can easily set up your DUNS number, and once you do so, then you're going to start getting emails where they talk about how urgent it is that you call them, okay? And I'll give you an example. Here you go. Here's an actual email for them. I've been unable to contact you regarding your application for your free DUNS. Please contact me at my number below as soon as possible. This is important, which, by the way, James should have an exclamation mark here. Please discard this message if you received it. So, guys, they're going to tell you. They're going to email you. They're going to tell you that they want you to buy something. You have to understand, if Dun & Bradstreet ever calls you, ever, they're calling you for one reason and one reason only: to sell you their credit builder program, period. They are not going to call you. They are not going to email you for any other reason than selling credit builder. So if you get a phone call or an email and they say, it's Dun & Bradstreet, it's important, get in touch with us, and you say, oh man, I need to call them, don't call them. Don't email them back. If you do, you need to be prepared for one of the best sales pitches you will ever hear. It's like mesmerizing. It puts you into a trance to buy crap you do not need to buy. Do not fall for it. My best example is to not do this. If I cannot tell you how many people go, I don't even know what just happened, but I just paid Dun & Bradstreet like $1,500 and I don't even know what it was for. Do not get in their trance. If you call them and email them, or if they call and email you and you get them on the phone, they will try to upsell you. Just know you can get a free number. You do not need to pay for it. Check and make sure that to see if you have credit now with Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, and Experian. I have a free link and a way for you to do this. creditsuite.com/reports. On this link, you can do a free search with D&B, Equifax, and Experian to see if any data is on your reports now. Guys, look, welcome to the commercial credit world. In the consumer credit world, you're not going to be given a score unless you have credit. Kind of makes sense. In the business credit world, that's not the case. You absolutely will be issued a failing score if they know your business name and address and your SIC code, which they can easily get from your Secretary of State. If they know that, this is exactly what you need. You're actually going to come in, hey, Mike, welcome, thanks for coming in. You're going to see a score of a failing score, 28. Okay, we've already looked at this report a little bit earlier. We see somebody here that's already high risk, about as high of a risk as you can get. Why are you high risk? Look, lack of trades. Okay, look again. What's the number one reason that you're actually high risk? Lack of trades. There's other factors here. They don't like the SIC code, the employee size. They know you're a small business. Okay, so again, this person has no trade lines, but it's given a failing score. Do you have a failing score? Well, that's exactly why you need to do a free check to find out. When you do this check at creditsuite.com/reports, this is what's going to happen. JJ, thanks for coming in. Either one, nothing will pull up when you type in your name or address. Or two, you will pull up a record. If you pull up a record, it probably makes sense for you to get access to your credit reports. You can get access to your credit reports at creditsuite.com/monitoring. It's the cheapest way on this planet to get monitoring. We get you Experian and Dun & Bradstreet credit monitoring for only $24. It's $210 if you go through them direct. Okay, and that's through our nav integration. So it's worth checking it out if a record pulls up on the search. So let's say no record pulls up. Then the next thing we want to do is we want to start getting starter vendor credit account. I'm going to give you an alternative here. I'm going to give you two ways to build initial business credit. First, you get approved with these startup vendors. Okay, and these kind of vendors that we talk about are Uline, Monopolize Your Marketplace, Granger, okay, Uline, I said Quill. Wells Fargo requires pretty good credit, but it's a secured credit card. Okay, a lot of these may need your DUNS number, so you should get that already. Some will want you to have a Paydex score, like Quill. If you don't have a Paydex score, Quill's going to make you place 2 or 3 orders before they'll approve you. Okay, but you can still get approved even if you have no credit without a personal credit check with any of these guys except Wells Fargo, who will do the credit check. Okay, now you got to make sure that they report to the crediting agencies. The reason I'm giving you specific vendors is 97% of vendors don't report to the business reporting agency. Even worse, some of them report to the consumer reporting agencies. So you got to make sure that the vendors that you work with do report to the business credit reporting agencies. And these guys sell things that you use every day, like office supplies and coffee and all kinds of stuff. They usually aren't revolving. They're usually accounts like net 30 terms. And again, like I said, some will require that you place 2 or 3 orders first. Here's the deal. Vendors are invaluable. They are worth their weight in gold because they do 2 things for you that most people will not do. They give you credit for your business even when you have absolutely none now. Okay, and the second thing that they help you do is vendors also report the credit to the business credit reporting agencies. And Brian says, I'm ready to start. I'm walking through the steps on how to do this. You can also, if you want the fastest path, Brian, you can feel free anytime, guys, to take out our number, give us a call. Our team will always talk to you about the fastest way to build business credit. 877-600-2487. You can always schedule a consultation too at creditsuite.com/consult. So you can give us a call or schedule a consult. We'll talk more. So again, guys, vendors are invaluable because they do those things. But vendors have a pretty good purpose. One of our clients, for example, is in the tax business. She got approved with Quill. She used Quill to buy yard signs and to print marketing flyers. And she used those kind of resources to go and get all their initial customers from. So not only did they get vendor credit to build their business credit, they also went out and got the resources they needed to start marketing and then actually got their first customers from the marketing. Then they used those customers to continue to do more and more and grow the business and did over $1 million the first year. And they also came in and got an Amex with no limit within 6 months, or actually less than 6 months, following these exact same steps. Okay, now Christine says, does an agricultural need an 800 number, as I'm debating that now? I get a toll-free number for everything, unless you're only in a local business, like, for example, if you're in a business where you deliver pizzas. Well, then that's only a local business. So now let's look at where we are. We've come into step one. We built that business credibly. We did our free search at creditsuite.com/reports. And I do have, if you guys ever want to receive weekly training tips, here's a number. If you text the word tips to this number, every week I give you only exclusive tips that I only do through text, just so I have that because it's in my screenshot anyways. Now we've established initial business credit. Now, I told you to use vendors like Uline, Quill, and Granger, but let's say you have good consumer credit. Well, if you have good consumer credit, then there's a shortcut. And the shortcut is called unsecured business financing. You can get up to $150,000 in credit lines, even as a startup, 0% rates for 6 to 18 months. You can get 5 to 8 credit cards that report to the business credit reporting agencies. If you don't have a 680 credit score, which is needed here, you can use a guarantor. You don't need collateral. It's no doc, no financials, no bank statements, and you can get approved as an actual startup. So, program, you've got two options. You can use vendors like Uline and Quill to get your initial accounts on your credit report, or you can use unsecured business financing to get physical credit lines and use those to build your initial business credit and get money in the process. And again, if any of this makes sense, I'll pull this up throughout. Here's our number. We can talk to you more about getting approved for this same day and get funding and get your credit lines of up to $100,000 within 3 weeks. All you need is a 680 score, a guarantor that has one. So if that makes sense, feel free to give us a call. We can also talk to you about the fastest path to build business credit. So once we've got 5 accounts, using either the unsecured program I just showed you or the Uline, Quill, Granger, now we move to the Dell and Apple. Now we move to store credit. Now remember, we're not just talking about Dell and Apple here. We're talking about giving you the ability, following these steps, to get $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 limit accounts at most major retailers. Christine, who's on with us today, the highest limit she's recently received is $75,000 limit on one individual account. Like Anna says, I collect trash locally. Does that mean I need an 800 number? I would always get an 800 number, guys, because it's so cheap to do through Ring Central. If the money's really an issue, get toll-free. But I would always get a toll-free number because it's so cheap. Like for $15 or $20 a month, there's a lot of places you can get this from. So to get these kind of accounts, I'm going to look right in our finance suite that our customers use to build business credit. And let's look at what's really required for Dell. Now remember, once you have 5 accounts reporting, you can start to get approved for Dell and Apple. Dell reports to DMB, okay? And usually you can get at least a $10,000 limit with a Paydex score of 78. What does that mean? Well, here's the Paydex score. A 78 literally means that you pay your bills prompt, i.e. you pay on time. So as long as the credit that you've gotten so far, whether it's the unsecured business credit that I told you about, or the Uline, the Quill, the Granger, as long as you got these accounts, 5 accounts, as long as you paid the bills on time or early, that will give you an 80 to 100 Paydex. And with Dell, all they want to see is a 78 or higher. If you get this, they are notorious for giving you at least a $10,000 limit account. They're notorious for this, okay? Now, again, you always want to apply with your business credit first. They'll always do it with a guarantor, but again, you basically want to have a 78 score. You need to have at least 5 reporting, at least 5, and then you want to go in and apply for Dell. Now, when you apply, do not give them your social security number. The minute you give any credit issuer your social, what's going to happen is they're going to pull your personal credit, and if you do get approved, they're going to approve you for credit that's based on a personal guarantee or that gives them a personal guarantee. If you don't want a credit check, If you don't want a personal guarantee, then what you need to do is you need to make sure that you actually come in and that you do not provide your social. So, we talked about Dell. You need to have at least 5 of those accounts reporting to Dell. Now, let's also take a look at our finance suite here. There's a lot of credit. You can even get Ford motor vehicle financing without a guarantee. And we're going to take a look here at Apple. Here we go. So let's look at Apple's requirements to get approved. So Apple does not report anywhere. They don't report your credit anywhere. But if you have an entity, an EIN, a business bank account, and if you have 10 or more trade lines reporting, then you're able to get approved with Apple's commercial credit as well. And you can go to their commercial credit and be able to go to apple.com, even look at commercial credit. It looks just like this. Financing options is unique as you and your business. And you can see here that they have revolving and they have net terms here. And they give you a bunch of different options with leases you can qualify for, net terms you can qualify for. Here they are. They're telling you can get here a $10,000 limit account. They're telling you exactly what to do. And they're giving you the process to come in and apply. And right here is the actual URL that we are. You can go to Apple and type in commercial financing. So with Apple, Dell you can get sooner in the process because you need 5 accounts. Apple's one of those that you're going to need 10 reported accounts to get. Now, once you get 10, what do I mean by that? You came in, you got Uline, you got Quill, you got Granger, you got Wells Fargo, you got one other. Then you came in here, you got store credit. Now you're able to get Staples and Home Depot and Costco and Chevron. You get 5 more of these revolving accounts, including Dell. That gives you the 10 accounts you need to start getting credit at places like Apple and even IKEA without the guarantee and without the credit check. It also gives you the ability to get fleet credit. This is used for fuel, auto repairs, and maintenance. You can also get auto vehicle financing. See my cool little graphic here, this happy dude driving his car, that he's happy because he didn't have to get a personal guarantee or credit check. And then you can also get a Visa, American Express, MasterCard. And again, here's some actual approvals. We just had a client on last week that got a $20,000 Inc. credit card without a personal guarantee and without a personal credit check. And is pretty much it. Credit is all about trade lines in the commercial world. The more trade lines you have, i.e. the more accounts you get that report to Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, and Experian Commercial, the more credit becomes available. When you get to about 14 accounts on your credit reports, you're done. At that point, you're pretty much going to be able to get most revolving credit that's out there. You're going to be able to get fleet credit to get auto vehicle repairs, maintenance, fuel. You're going to be able to come in and get cash credit, Visa cards, MasterCards, Amex cards, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 limit accounts with no guarantee, no credit check. You're able to get a car, auto vehicle financing without a guarantee, without a credit check. And your limits get higher and higher and higher up to a point where you're getting $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. Even like I said, we've seen $75,000 individual limit accounts. Christine, who's on with us today, you can see your comments. She's the one that's actually got a $75,000 limit account. I just talked to her weeks ago, over $250,000 in business credit so far. And these are the kind of approvals you can get if you follow the system. So you've got to keep in mind that this is based on a step-by-step process. We've talked through it. Set up the business credibly. Check to see if the reporting agencies know anything about you now. Establish initial credit with Uline, Quill, Granger, Wells Fargo, or if you have good credit, come in and get unsecured business financing where you get credit lines up to 150 at 0% rates. Either way, this will give you 5 accounts, or you can get 5 accounts from these kind of guys. Once you have 5, then you start moving into most store credit, including Dell. Apple's going to need about 10, so does IKEA. Then once you have those 10 reported, then the whole world opens up. Everything else opens. Visa, Amex, MasterCards, you can get fleet credit, you can get auto vehicle financing, all just following those steps. That being said, we went over a lot of stuff today. Now you know exactly what the process is. Now, let me pull up our information in case you have questions. You have questions on building business credit? You want the fastest way to get it done? Let us know. We specialize in taking years of business credit building and condensing it to months. And you get a free consultation. You're entitled to that. So we'll answer questions you have. We'll talk to you more about the fastest way forward if this makes sense. CreditSuite.com/consult, 877-600-2487. If you want to do this on your own, go to our website, CreditSuite.com. Also, go to creditsuite.com/Facebook. If you go to creditsuite.com/Facebook, I give you a free guide with more information that maps out the steps here to build business credit with more information. So now you know exactly what to do to come in and get Dell and Apple with $20,000 plus limits. And now you also just learned the same steps to get Walmart, to get Costco and Sam's Club and Amazon and Sunoco and Conoco and Costco and almost every major retailer. And then as you get the 10 trades, to get fleet credit, to get Visa cards, MasterCards, Chase Inc., Bank of America we've got here, Visa cards, Pitney Bowes, everything without the guarantee and the credit check. Here's the best news. Vendor credit you can get immediately. You're getting store credit in 60 days. You're getting Visa card, MasterCard, auto vehicle financing in 6 months max if you follow the steps I just showed you. Questions? Again, let us know if you have questions. Here's our number. You can also schedule a free consult. On the free consult, we'll give you a free copy of your Credit Safe Credit Report. So if you want to schedule a consult, go to creditsuite.com/consult or just give us a ring. And don't forget, if you have good credit or a good credit guarantor, you can get up to $150,000 in credit lines and build your business credit at the same time. And if you're calling us on that, we can give you a same-day approval, talk to you more, answer any questions. Leave this video up. Chelsea, all of our videos are up on YouTube, guys. YouTube. All of our videos are on Facebook. If you go to Credit Suite or Facebook.com/Credit Suite, then you'll be able to pull up all of our videos where we map out all different kinds of things of how business credit scores work, where your data reports, how your data reports, how to get loans, how to get credit lines, whether you have bad credit or any other scenario. So if all this makes sense and you want more, go to Facebook. Also, go and make sure that you grab our guide, creditsuite.com/Facebook. This becomes important for a few reasons. One, it gives you more steps on building the business credit. It gives you more in-depth information. And also, it puts you on our list where I'm emailing you regularly how to get loans, how to get credit cards, what banks are looking for, what banks are hot, all that news. And then you also get invitations for webinars that we host that only people on our list get, exclusive other content that we do. If you follow us on YouTube, we go live on YouTube for content that we only go through on YouTube. So there's a lot of different things that you can get free information from us. Just go to creditsuite.com/Facebook. So I'm going to wrap it up. If you missed some of this or all of this, go to facebook.com/Credit Suite. Look at videos you can see, or look at our news feed. You'll see this video with all of the information in its entirety. And if you have any questions, give us a ring, 877-600-2487. I will see you next Thursday at 11 o'clock, where we're diving into topics like 10 ways to get a business loan for your business even when you can't get a bank loan, the vendors that you need to know to build your business credit, how your credit scores work, where we talk about all the different credit scores that work as well. Okay, what can lower a business credit score? These are the type of and all the type of training that we're going to be talking about in the weeks to come on the whiteboards and on the black chalkboard. So I look forward to seeing you next Thursday at 11 o'clock where we're live here on Facebook. Thanks everybody very much. Have a great day. Remember, if you missed any or all of this, then because I have an order here from Jamal, he says, teach. I've already taught. You're coming in too late. But if you miss this and go back to facebook.com/Credit Suite, you'll see this whole lesson in its entirety. And Jamal, I feel confident that when you see it, you'll feel that I did a pretty good job of teaching today. At least I'd like to think so. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the share. I'll see you all next Thursday here at 11 o'clock here on Facebook. Okay, is there actually a way for me to speak to you? Absolutely, Lake-Anna. Like I said, give us a call. 877-600-2487. That is my number. 877-600-2487. Thanks everybody very much. I'll see you next Thursday at 11 o'clock here on Facebook. I hope you all have a great day and a great weekend. I'll see you next week. Thanks everybody.